Wisteria Enterprises is all about making what's invisible visible, whether that's at home, in our businesses, or what's coming from within us. And this video is going to go into a pattern or a profile and help you get to see your internal world on a different level. It's going to explore and expand your perception of yourself. I am delighted to be sharing it with you. And if you want to learn more about how we can do this together, please reach out. I'll have a link at the end. Thanks. Enjoy the video. Hello and welcome to this week's profile unpack, helping you to make your hidden patterns and internal operating systems visible. So Wisteria Enterprises is here to help make the invisible visible, whether it's at home, in business, or from within. What it is that drives you, what it is that motivates you, what it is that shapes your actions, the way you do things. And today we are going to talk about the Clutterbug profile, which is one of my very favorites. And I know I say that about all of them. This one is a game changer. The reason it's my favorite, as they all are, the reason this one is my favorite is that it is a massive life-changing moment when we realize that organization is not one size fits all. Organization comes in many different ways, and this can be used at home or at work in business. Predominantly, I use it at home with my family, and understanding the different styles was one way I was able to strengthen my relationship with my teenagers, with my husband, because we all operate as different bugs. But when we take what's invisible and our natural drivers and our natural tendencies and our preferences, and we make them visible, we can start to have conversations about them. We can start to explore together how it is that each of us is approaching getting the house organized, why it is that the systems that I was setting up were not being followed and were never going to be followed, and that wasn't a reflection of lack of love or lack of care, but more a reflection of the different priorities and preferences in how we sort and organize. And so this profile comes from Cassandra Arson, who is the most amazing lady and has called them Clutterbugs. She is an organizational specialist. I have taken her training. I am a certified organizational specialist, which sounds way more fancy than it really is. I can use Clutterbug profiles to help people declutter, organize, and then decorate their homes in a way that they are able to maintain. Because it's really easy, and I don't know if you've had this experience, but it's really easy to set up a highly detailed, intricate organization system with lots of peace, and it looks beautiful and you color code it. The setting that up is really easy. What can be difficult for some people is then maintaining it. Now, I think for some people, it's probably not even easy to set it up. The maintenance, so that there's two sides of this. One is how we think we want to organize and our aspirational organizational self. And the other is the practical, everyday, I can maintain this organization. And often those two are different. Who we think we are versus who we actually are. And this is where bringing that invisibility, the unconscious wiring to the forefront and allowing ourselves to see ourselves clearly and adjust our self-perception allows us to be kinder to ourselves, to be compassionate with ourselves, and kinder and compassionate with those around us. And I notice for myself with this that the maintenance is the piece where this often falls down. And so when we're creating systems, when I'm working with clients to help them create systems, when I'm working with my family, it is about what can we maintain, not what do we like, what do we think would be lovely, what's maintainable, and embracing that. And sometimes that, not sometimes, always, I'm gonna say it directly, always that requires us to get rid of some stuff. So the first piece that you have to understand is that we cannot organize clutter. And so the organization profile really has to kick in after we've removed the excess, because it doesn't matter how well you know how to organize. If there is too much stuff in a space, then it cannot be detail focused, organized, micro organized. It just can't be. There's not enough room. So being a bee or a cricket, you need less stuff to be able to have it fit in the space that a butterfly or a ladybug could potentially fit more stuff into. And so let's break these down a little bit. There is an online profile. I find that it has about a 60 or 70% accuracy rate, because so often we answer from our aspirational or our ideal or our who we think we should be perspective, rather than the who we actually are and what can we maintain perspective. And so while you'll get insights from doing the profile online, I find that having a conversation, practically unpacking, looking at your spaces is a really good way to uncover these. And if you want to do that, by all means, send me a message. Let's chat and explore what it would look like to work together. Let's run through these, and then you can go and take the test and you can see and invite those around you. So doing this with my family was a massive game changer in understanding and how we can play together nicely. So there are 4 bugs divided into what I call a matrix model, which means there's a vertical axis and a horizontal axis that we sort and organize them by, incidentally. So with no surprise, my preference is a visual organizer. I like to see things, and this is an evidence of that. Like I've organized these, I've color coded them. So someone who is a more hidden organizer or a person seeking more visual simplicity wouldn't have anywhere near as many colors on this. It would be very plain. It would have the data, but not the prettiness. Whereas I've color coded and stacked and brought in a real visual element to it. So my preference is visual abundance. Hidden organizers, and that's not entirely true for graphics, for business, for the bulk of my office space, visual abundance. In my bedroom, I actually am a visual simplicity. I like far more things hidden. And so we've got, at one end, we've got visual abundance. At one end, we've got visual simplicity or hidden organizers. Then if we look at the vertical axis, we've got macro versus micro, and this is the category abundance or category simplicity. So micro organizers, like many categories, they have an abundance and a wealth of intricate details that they can sort things into and can get right down into the nitty gritty. That's my default preference. That's where I tend to play most happily. In most things I do, I am far more detailed, far more specific, though I can speak to the macro and the larger categories. I stack and I create pyramids. So we've got abundant categories with the micro organizers, and we've got category simplicity with the macro organizers. And so an example of category simplicity versus more detailed categories of category abundance would be the difference between how I sort clothes and how my teenage son sorts clothes. So my teenage son has 2 categories for clothes. There are clean clothes and there are dirty clothes. And that's it. That's his entire categorization. And so as a result, he has a pile of clean clothes that just sit on a chair. He doesn't have a dresser. He doesn't have, and instantly, so as a micro organizer who likes a blend of visual order and simplicity, that drives me nuts. However, it's his room. He maintains it. And at 17, I want him to maintain his own clothes. I don't want to have to do his washing and put his clothes away. I want him to be able to do it. Now, my clothes are sorted into many micro categories. My drawers have dividers in them, and everything is very much meticulously in its place. I have category abundance and I have sorting space. And so he has chair and clothes go on chair. I have a wardrobe, I have drawers, and in my drawers I have dividers, and you can start to see the difference between category simplicity and category abundance. Now, the question, of course, is always, can we maintain it? And so if I go in, because it's easy enough, I could go into my son's room, I could meticulously organize and order and put his clothes away. And this is what I do with my husband. The reality is, though, is that that's not maintainable for him, because he's just going to walk in, he's going to throw his clean clothes on the chair, which is exactly what my husband would do, except that we compromised and I take responsibility for putting his clothes away because it matters more to me than it does to him. And so where we have a space where we've got that battle between micro and macro organizers, we want to make sure that whoever's taking responsibility or whoever's more attached to the outcome in that space, they are the one that maintains it. And so if you want detail organized, but you're not willing to maintain it, you start to have to challenge that a little bit, unless you have someone in your house that will maintain it for you. And then you can, and so my husband, left to his own devices, he would have a basket, and he would, very much like my son, have clean and dirty clothes. There's no need to sort beyond that. Why would you sort beyond that? It's a waste of time. He doesn't pair socks. I don't pair his socks. I've given up on that, because when you wear odd socks, it then becomes almost impossible to pair them. It's the only macro organized space in our bedroom, and it's under the bed and tucked away where I can't see it, because in our bedroom I am a hidden organizer. Knowing this, we're able to navigate conflicts that had been coming up, and we're able to work out why so all of my systems, I waver between hidden and visual depending on where I am in the house. For the most part, though, almost everything I do is category abundance and quite detail and meticulous. None of my family, that's not accurate. One of my children is a cricket, but none of my family, even my cricket in his bedroom, is not a cricket in the kitchen. He's butterfly in the kitchen. And so knowing this, I know if I want something meticulously organized in the kitchen, I need to take responsibility for it. The rest of the kitchen tends to be organized in a way, and this is where having less stuff helps. When there's only one box of Weet-Bix, it sits in its category automatically, and it doesn't need too much sorting to group things together and sort meticulously. And so less stuff is easier to sort in the more category abundance. More stuff generally gets bundled together, particularly by those that have the category simplicity preference of the macro organizing. So as you can see, there's 4. So the butterfly is macro and visual. They like to have fewer categories and have it out where they can see them. Clothes on a chair. The bee is also visual. They like to be able to see it. They like it more meticulously, or more abundant categories to sort things into, and it will be a more detailed, precise level of organization. The butterfly will have things stuffed and in larger categories, whereas the bee will have things placed more often than not. The butterfly with less stuff can also have everything in its place. So depending on the amount of stuff, so we have our clutter threshold, how much we can tolerate out of its place, and then we have our other end of that is our lack of stuff level. So that there's a line between I've got too much stuff and I don't have enough stuff, and wherever we sit on that spectrum, and that spectrum is different for everybody. So butterflies sitting at the abundance of stuff level will have things placed more haphazardly, generally, because the more stuff there is, the harder it is to find the place. On the more minimalistic end, they will have the place for everything, and it will look quite orderly. The bee everything will be orderly, and the more stuff they have, the more categories they'll have, and the more they will have to put in, the more effort needs to go in to maintain it. So the more items we have, the more stuff we have, the more maintenance we need to apply. The more categories we have, the more maintenance we need to apply. And so the easiest organizational style to maintain is that of the butterfly. Large categories and everything where you can see it, so that you're not hiding it away. Now, for some people, that's not going to work. The ladybugs, they prefer clear surfaces. They prefer, and the crickets, both of them prefer their visual stimulation to be minimal. And so they prefer things tucked away in drawers, tucked away in tubs. The difference being that the ladybug will have big drawers and lots of things stuffed into it in larger categories. So that step down from butterfly and clothes on the chair, my daughter has ladybug tendencies. She's really a combo of butterfly and ladybug. And so she has great big giant drawers that are under her bed, and her clothes get tossed in the drawer and the drawer gets shut. So she can have what she wants to see out, but her clothes are not where she can see them. They are hidden away in the drawer. So it's that combo of butterfly and ladybug. Pure ladybugs, everything is hidden away in those large categories. So larger drawers, larger tubs work much better for the ladybugs, and they prefer fewer categories. So they're not going to be color coding clothes. They're not going to be sorting. So my son has a little bit of that in him, and his school clothes are sorted in ladybug fashion, and they literally are all just thrown in the same tub. So there's school clothes. He's a little bit more detailed than my other kids. He has categories for his clothes. He's also a combo of visual and hidden. And so what I trust you're taking from this is it's not a one size fits all. It's not you are a butterfly and that's what you will be forever and ever, and that's what you will be everywhere. There are different areas of the house will bring different bugs. And the final bug is the cricket. They like hidden and they like category abundance. They like to have lots of things intricately put away in a drawer that they can then close. And Cass does amazing stuff around this. The physical organization is not my specialty, but the mindset behind it and the hidden patterns within, that's where I can really help people understand themselves and draw into what was hidden, what was unconscious, what was driving you, why there's this conflict. And it in terms of conflict, in terms of maintaining the house, it will come down to different styles, different preferences of sorting and organizing, and then the ability to maintain. And so if we've got the preference for hidden and category abundance and lots of categories in that micro-organizing, we will generally put more effort into maintaining that. Whereas someone that's quite happy to see all of their stuff and have it in category abundance, like all clothes grouped together, they're going to put less effort into maintaining it based on their preferences. And I think for every marriage counselor that's negotiating how the house is married with their clients, this is an essential. This is in my household management course and is one of the first things that I say to people to check out and discover about themselves is what is your clutterbug style, because it will shape how you set up the systems in your house. And then of course it's coupled with things like our habits, our routines, and lots of other hidden preferences that come out in other profiles and looking at preferences and patterns. I trust you've got some value from this. I'd love to know what you've learned. I'd love to know in the comments, what clutterbug did you get in the quiz? Do you think your family are operating as different clutterbugs? Are you able to navigate that? How are you playing with it? And of course, if you want to dive into and explore this on a deeper level together, then book a Let's Chat call and we can explore what it would look like to work with this in your home and how to play with this at home, in business, and tapping into other patterns that come from within that are shaping the results you're creating in your life. This has been fun. I look forward to seeing the results that you've got in the comments below, and any questions you've got, please feel free to ask, and we'll connect again really soon. Bye.